Okay, hi. Let's continue our lesson on opening brackets. Okay. Um, Today's lesson on we're gonna be multiplying a pair of brackets with two terms to another pair of brackets with two terms, and that is also known as the product of two binomial expressions. Now you're probably not sure what that really means. You'll understand it a lot better when we go through an example. So I'm going to give you a set of examples here of how we do it. Okay, so here's first example. 2b plus 7 is in brackets, multiply 2x plus y in brackets. So we are multiplying a pair of brackets with two terms to another pair of brackets with two terms. Product means multiply, so we are multiplying. That's how you get a product. Two binomial expressions. Binomial means two terms. So we have two terms here and two terms here. Okay. So um, uh, for beginners, let's do this. Let's just circle the terms that we have so far. Those are our two terms. Yeah, remember this plus belongs to the y, not to the x. Each term has a sign in front of it. So that's our two terms. And our other two terms. Now to work this out, normally if you just have um, something in brackets, such as say 2 outside and you add x plus y, you just take the number outside and you multiply it to the two terms inside. However, in a similar way, this is what we're going to be doing. You take the first term here, 2b, and you multiply it to the x, and we multiply it here. You multiply it to this term, and you multiply it to that term. So we'll do it in steps. Step 1, we take 2b and multiply it to x. 2b multiplied to x gives us 2bx. Okay, then step 2, we take 2b and multiply it to y. 2b multiplied to y will be 2by. That's the first two steps. Next, we have step 3, where you take the second term here and multiply it to these two terms. But I've kind of already marked on top here, so it will be confusing to write on top. But I have all the space underneath. So let me mark it underneath instead. This is step 3. You take 7, a positive 7, and multiply it to x. You get plus 7x. Then you take a positive 7 and multiply it to y, to the positive y, and you'll get a positive 7y. Alright, let's look at those answers. How many terms are in our answer? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 terms. Do we have any like terms? Like terms would be terms with the same exact letters. bx, by, not the same letters. X, y. So we have none of them are like terms. Since you don't have like terms, you can't add it up any further. We have to stop right there. You're finished already. As easy as that. 4 steps. Okay, so let's look at another example. Okay, example 2 is almost the same thing. except instead of having a plus here, I'm changing it to a minus. 2b plus 7 multiplied to x minus y. Let's see how to handle the negative sign. Once again, circle your terms so you make sure you don't forget your signs when you're multiplying. It's a negative y. Okay. Next thing you could do is draw all your curly arrows, and these curly arrows don't mean add, it don't mean move the terms. The curly arrows means multiply. So you're multiplying this term to that term. Remember that, because in maths we could have curly arrows meaning different things. In this sum, the curly arrows mean multiply. You don't have to draw it in, but drawing it in helps you avoid making mistakes. I like to draw it in. Proof of that. This is my scrappy work where I was drawing it in, just to be careful to make sure I could get all the answers. And this is me not drawing it in, being a little careless, but I double check my work and I'm sure it's right. So the point is, you don't have to draw it in, but I like to do it. You'll see it in a lot of textbooks. It's a safe way of getting out your sum. Let's continue. Step 1, 2b multiplied to the x, 2bx. Step 2, 2b multiplied to negative y. Here we have a positive term multiplied to a negative term. If the signs are different, your answer is a negative answer. 2b multiplied by negative y is a negative 2by. Next, step 3. A positive 7 multiplied to x gives you a positive 7x. Then, a positive 7 multiplied to a negative y. Different signs, you'll get a negative answer. Negative 7y. Again, 4 terms in your answer. And these 4 terms, we look at them, they have different letters. They are unlike terms. So no terms are like terms which you can add up together or take away. So you stop right there and you're done. Observe when you draw your curly arrows, they kind of look like an old guy with comb in his hair and a side part with a smile on a chin. So let's continue with example 3. Okay, example 3. I have a negative term in my first set of brackets, and here we have positive. Let's see what kind of answers we're going to get with this here. The only reason I'm circling my terms is to make sure we make no mistakes when multiplying these signs or these terms with signs. Okay. Now we draw our curly arrows to show who is being multiplied to who. Step 1, step 2. Step 3. Step 4. Okay. Now let's get started. Step 1, 2b multiplied to x, 2bx. Step 2, 2b multiplied to a positive y is a positive 2by. Step 3, a negative 7 multiplied to a x is a negative 7x. A negative by a positive gives you a negative answer. And then a negative by a positive again gives you a negative answer. Minus 7 times positive y minus 7y. We have 4 terms here. Look at the 4 terms. None of them are like terms, so you'll stop right there. We go on to example 4 now. Okay, here. What is going to happen now if both brackets have a negative sign in them? Well, let's circle our terms to be careful. And then we draw our curly arrows. If you want, you could leave out the 1, 2, 3, 4. By now, you might have gotten you might remember what is first, second, third, and fourth. I'm still going to write it in for you all as beginners, but you could always leave it out as you get more experience. When I did it here, I didn't bother to write 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just draw the curly arrows. Okay. Step 1, 2b multiplied by x, 2bx. Step 2, 2b multiplied by negative y. A positive by a negative, negative answer, 2by. Step 3, negative 7 by a x. Negative times a positive, negative 7x. Negative 7 times a negative y. That same sign give you a positive answer, a positive 7y. That's your answer. Look at the letters bx, by, x, y. No like terms, so you can't add up anything further. You finish that right there. Now, what you're seeing here is that all these answers so far resulted in 4 terms. None of them were like terms, so you had to stop right there with 4 terms. But in some cases, you end up, depending on what numbers or letters are inside these brackets, you might get like terms, and if you do get like terms, you can then add them up or take them away accordingly. So let's look at 2 more examples where you will get 4 terms, but you might get some of them being like terms, and see what happens to them. Let's move on to example 5. Okay, so we have brackets here. In brackets, 3x plus 2, and the entire brackets is being squared. So 3x plus 2 squared is going to be equal to the same thing, well, the brackets times itself. It will be 3x plus 2 multiplied to itself, 3x plus 2. Don't forget what squared means, okay? For example, 5 squared means 5 times 5. So anything squared means you multiply by itself, not multiply by 2. Don't say 5 squared means 5 times 2. That's wrong. It is 5 times itself. So if you have brackets, it wouldn't be something times 2. It's the brackets times itself. Let's see now what will happen with this. Circle your terms. 3x plus 2, 3x, and a plus 2. Draw your arrows. 3x times 3x is step 1. 3x times positive 2 is step 2. Positive 2 times 3x is our step 3, and a positive 2 times a positive 2 is step 4. Let's go. 3x times 3x would give you 3 times 3 is 9. X times x gives you x squared. Next, A 3x times a 2 would give you a positive 3 2s are 6, a positive 6x. Next, that was step 1 and step 2 answers. Now step 3, a positive 2 times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. So positive 2 times 3x is 6x. Then step 4, a positive 2 times a positive 2 is 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, let's look at those answers here. We have a positive 6x plus 6x. Those are like terms. The rest of terms were not like terms. We have a x squared, and x squared is not the same as x. So this is not like this. If this was squared, then they would be like terms and you could add them. But you're not allowed to add them because of that little number 2 up there, which tells you can't add them. Then we need another marker. Right. Well, the different colors is just showing you different terms. The x squared is a different term from the x terms, and that's different from a term without letters. So the ones that have the letter x, you can add them up, and you will get 6x plus 6x gives you 12x. So let's add them up. 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. And that's it. You're done. Okay. All right. Let's go on to example 6. Okay, so example 6 is so much like example 5. We have 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2. Here we have 3x plus 2, and here 3x minus 2. So I cannot start off with this here, 3x plus 2 squared, because this is not 3x plus 2 squared. So I'm going to just write it like this: 3x plus 2 multiplied to 3x minus 2. Okay. So what happens when the terms are almost the same except for the sign in the middle of the brackets? Let's go ahead, do our curvy arrows, and when you do my homework, I expect to see curvy arrows. Don't tell me at how you feeling stupid to do it. I want to see it. If I don't see my curly arrows, I will deduct marks. I'm forcing you to write it in. Okay, here we go. I didn't write step 1, step 2, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Here we go. Step 1, 3x times 3x gives you a 9x. Don't forget x times x gives you a squared symbol up there. Next, step 2, 3x multiplied to the negative 2 gives you a negative 6x. Now, that's step 1 and step 2. Now step 3, a 2 times a 3x gives you a positive 6x. Step 4, a positive 2 times a negative 2 gives you a negative 4. Okay, let's take a look at the terms. We have an x term here and an x term here, whereas the rest of it is a number term. Okay, so I hope you all could figure out this one. Negative 6 add 6. Go for your elevator ride. Start at a 0 floor. Go down 6 steps down, or 6 floors down, and then go back up 6 floors. So you start at 0, you go down 6. When you go back up 6, you'll end up at 0. That means that minus 6x plus 6x is equal to 0. Okay, so if that plus that is equal to 0, it means that as a beginner, this is what I will write down. 9x squared plus 0 minus 4. But 9x squared plus 0 is simply 9x squared. So I don't really need to add, write in the plus 0. I could leave it out. I just have to write 9x squared minus 4 because that evaporated into thin air as a 0. Okay, and that is a scenario where you get like terms and you work it out and you end up here with only 2 terms in your final answer. So what the point I'm making here is when you open brackets and you get your 4 terms, look carefully to see if you have like terms, and if you do, work out the sum further. And if you have unlike terms, then pull brakes and stop right there. So now I'll give you some to practice for homework, and I'll see you next class. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye.